Let's get right into it. Number 10. Never walk under a ladder. This one barely counts as superstition, since the real explanation is just basic physics. A leaning ladder creates a triangle, and anyone walking underneath is standing directly in the path of anything that might fall: a dropped tool, a paint can, or the ladder itself if it slips. In medieval times, the triangle shape also carried religious symbolism representing the Holy Trinity, so walking through it was seen as disrespectful on top of being dangerous. Over centuries, the practical safety warning and the religious taboo merged into one simple rule that stuck around long after most people forgot the religious half entirely, leaving behind just a vague sense that it's bad luck, when really it's just common sense with old folklore attached. Number 9. Never open an umbrella indoors. Old umbrellas from the 18th and 19th centuries weren't the compact folding kind we use today. They had long spring-loaded metal ribs that snapped open forcefully, and opening one inside a small room genuinely risked knocking over furniture, breaking glassware, or injuring someone standing nearby. Some historians also point to Victorian funeral customs, where opening an umbrella indoors was seen as inviting death into the house, adding a darker cultural layer on top of the very real physical hazard. Modern umbrellas are far less dangerous to open indoors, but the old warning survived anyway, outliving the actual mechanical risk that created it in the first place. Number 8. Throwing spilled salt over your shoulder. Salt used to be extraordinarily valuable. Roman soldiers were sometimes partially paid in salt, which is where the word salary actually comes from, and spilling a costly, hard-to-produce substance was a genuine financial loss worth being upset about. Over time, that real economic frustration turned into a superstition that spilling salt itself brought bad luck. And the specific ritual of throwing a pinch over your left shoulder comes from an old European belief that the devil lurked just behind your left side, waiting to take advantage of any misfortune, so tossing salt into his face was thought to blind him and cancel out the bad luck you'd just caused. Number 7. Breaking a mirror brings 7 years of bad luck. Ancient Romans believed the soul renewed itself in 7-year cycles, which is part of where the specific number comes from, but there's a far more practical layer underneath the myth. For most of history, mirrors were extremely expensive, handcrafted from polished metal or later from silvered glass, and breaking one wasn't just clumsy, it was a genuine financial disaster. In some historical accounts, breaking an employer's mirror as a servant could result in being indebted for years to pay it off, which lines up suspiciously well with the 7-year timeline. The superstition essentially preserved the memory of a real serious consequence long after mirrors became cheap and replaceable. Number 6. Friday the 13th is unlucky. This particular date's reputation is often traced back to a real historical event. On Friday, October 13th, 1307, King Philip IV of France ordered the mass arrest of the Knights Templar, a powerful and wealthy religious military order with many members later tortured and executed. The shocking coordinated nature of the arrests on that specific date is frequently cited by historians as a major contributing factor to Friday the 13th's lasting association with catastrophe, layering onto older, separate superstitions about the number 13 and Fridays individually being unlucky in different cultures. Number 5. Never put new shoes on the table. This superstition is especially strong in parts of northern England tied to mining communities, and the real explanation is somber. When a miner died in an accident, it was traditional for his boots to be placed on the table as a mark of respect and remembrance for the family. Because of that association, placing any shoes, even brand new ones, on a table came to be seen as inviting death or misfortune into the household, since it visually echoed a genuine funeral custom. The superstition wasn't really about shoes at all, it was a lingering cultural memory of grief, transformed into a general household rule most people repeat today without knowing where it came from. Number 4. Never whistle at night or underground. In mining communities, miners developed whistle-based signals to communicate warnings about dangerous conditions, cave-ins, or equipment problems. And an unrelated whistle at the wrong moment could cause genuine confusion in an environment where a mistake meant death. Sailors held a similar belief that whistling on a ship could summon or worsen a storm, which may have practical roots in avoiding accidentally imitating wind-based signals used for coordinating tasks on deck. In both cases, a real functional communication system, where the wrong sound at the wrong time carried serious consequences, evolved into a broader cultural taboo against whistling in certain settings long after the original signaling systems were forgotten. Number 3. Saying, "bless you," after a sneeze. This custom is often traced back to the 6th century during a bubonic plague outbreak in Europe, when Pope Gregory I reportedly urged people to say a blessing after someone sneezed, since sneezing was recognized as an early symptom of the deadly illness spreading at the time. There's also a persistent myth that your heart briefly stops during a sneeze, which isn't quite true, though a sneeze does trigger a real, measurable change in heart rhythm due to pressure shifts in the chest, giving the old myth a small kernel of actual physiological truth buried inside the exaggeration. Number 2, seeing a single magpie is bad luck. The old rhyme, 1 for sorrow, 2 for joy, reflects a real observation about magpie behavior. Magpies are highly social birds that typically pair for life and are frequently seen in groups or with a mate nearby, so spotting a magpie completely alone was historically unusual enough to be noted and remembered. Some naturalists suggest a solitary magpie could realistically indicate a lost mate or a disrupted nest, an actual sign of misfortune within the bird's own life, which may have been folded into human superstition through simple pattern recognition passed down over generations of rural observation. Number 1, a black cat crossing your path brings bad luck. This superstition has a well-documented, genuinely dark historical origin. During European and colonial American witch hunts, black cats were widely associated with witchcraft, and this belief directly led to black cats being killed in large numbers, sometimes alongside the women accused of keeping them as familiars. Some historians have even connected reduced black cat populations in parts of medieval Europe to a rise in rat populations, which in turn is sometimes linked to the spread of disease. The superstition's effects weren't just symbolic, it drove real documented persecution, and its legacy still lingers today, since black cats are statistically adopted from shelters less often than cats of other colors. Even now. That's all for today. I'll be making similar videos in the future. Subscribe to see them.